15. If you have any cell phones on, please shut them off during this meeting. All right. First thing on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for June 18th, 2015. Do I hear a motion on the table?
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Woods. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sphere. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion minutes pass. Next thing on the agenda is citizens' communications. Anybody in the audience wishing to address the commission on any subject other than what's on this agenda, please do so at this time. Okay, I'll go ahead and close that. We don't have anybody. Next thing is development reviews and formal actions.
Good evening. First on the agenda is a final plat approval for the Garden Subdivision, re-subdivision number 1. The property is located west of Loop 463, near the intersection of Nantucket Avenue and New Haven Street. It is a proposed final plat of 6.29 acres. The owner wishes to subdivide the property into one block containing one multifamily residential lot and 9 single-family residential lots.
Excuse me, do you have it on the for the screen
sorry.
for the public, please?
Sorry about that.
No problem.
So the water service will be provided by an existing 8-inch water line in Nantucket Drive, an existing 8-inch water line in Williamsburg Avenue. Sanitary sewer service will be provided by an existing 8-inch sewer line in Nantucket Drive and an existing 8-inch sewage line in Williamsburg Avenue. People will access the property by Nantucket Drive, which is an existing local road with 55.6 feet of right-of-way, and Williamsburg Avenue with 55.6 feet of right-of-way. Drainage will be in compliance with the master drainage plan for the City of Victoria. Staff recommends approval of this final plat, and I am here, and the applicant is here as well to answer any questions.
Okay, first thing I'd like to do is, Mr. Mayfield, would you introduce that young man?
Sure. I was looking for an opportunity, and I should have waited.
That's fine. That's all right. We're going to get to know you right now.
We have a new staff member. This is our new planner, William Charles. We call him Will. He's in his second week. Second week. He had previously been our intern. He's a relatively recent graduate of Texas A&M, and so sorry we didn't introduce. I think maybe a couple of y'all may have met him before the meeting, but
and I apologize for not stopping.
And Jaron is still on staff, so just in case you're about to ask me where Jaron went, he's still on staff. We've moved him over, and he's going to be focused on plans examining on the building side of our department. So still on staff, just doing a slightly different role. So we've had been an interesting transition the last few weeks. So bear with us as we kind of work out all the kinks and everybody learns their new roles and everything. So anyway, thanks for that opportunity.
Again, I apologize, sir. Does any commission have any questions on this?
I don't.
Okay. All right.
The multifamily, is that going to be added to the gardens apartments, I'm assuming?
This was surplus land that's part of the garden apartments, so they're subdividing off those residential lots and keeping the apartment complex portion of it, and obviously selling off those single-family lots.
They're not adding to the apartment complex then?
Not at this time, not with this.
But they are building a new apartment or duplex or something.
Could be, and they can. There's room for them to do that on there. Those are all on one lot, so and those are handled through a site plan process, which y'all may recall is an administrative process. So.
All right, if there's no any more questions, I'll go ahead and do we have some plat deliberations? I hear a motion to approve.
Motion to accept the plat as presented.
No, we don't need it.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Rashid and a second by Mr. Woods. All those in favor of final plat? Say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Final plat approved.
Next on the agenda is a final plat approval of Capstone Estates Phase 2, Section 1. The property is located in the 3.5-mile ETJ of the City of Victoria. It is located near the intersection of Northside and Tate Road. It is a 33.37-acre tract of land situated in the IRRCO Survey Section 13, Abstract Number 216. Capstone Estates Phase 2, Section 2, Subdivision 1. It's a proposed final. The owner wishes to subdivide the property into 2 blocks containing 28 rural residential lots. The proposed lot will be accessed via Dana Avenue and Honeycomb Drive, both of which are proposed local streets with 60 feet right-of-ways. Water service will be provided by private on-site water wells. Sanitary sewer service will be provided by private on-site sewage facilities. The site will be accessed through Dana Avenue and Honeycomb Drive, which are both, again, proposed local roads with 60 feet right-of-ways. Drainage will be in compliance with the master drainage plan for the City of Victoria. Staff recommends approval of this final plat. And I can answer any questions in the...
We had one more comment. If y'all recall, last month you extended
Right.
the life of the preliminary plat for another year, so this is a portion of what was on that preliminary plat. Not all of it.
Not the full property.
Not the full property. This is just
Phase
one
2.
more phase of what was on that. So,
Any issues with the addition of number 12 on here? This is the one that we got the update on, correct?
no, that just accommodating some comments that the county commissioner was requesting. So, we have no issues with it.
So he did get the final plat in, just not for the entire property.
Right. And because the commission granted him an entire year, he now has another. Believe his final plat or his preliminary plat was going to expire in July 2015. With the motion that was done last month, it extended it through July 2016. So he has the next 12 months to submit final plats for those remaining phases, or turn around and ask for another extension next year.
So this is what he said, basically. I was looking, this is the final plat for the west side, I would assume.
Yes, sir. It's the west side that fronts on Tate Road, the part that's furthest away from the existing city utilities.
Any questions? If not, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Rashid. Do I have a second? A second by Ms. Steen. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Final plat approved on Capstone Phase 2, Section 1.
Next on the agenda is a final plat approval of MLC Enterprise Subdivision. This property is located on U.S. Highway 59 south of intersection John Stockborough Road and U.S. Highway 59. The proposed final plat is 1.93 acres. The owner wishes to subdivide the property into 1 block containing 1 commercial lot. The proposed final plat will also contain plans for the construction of a 9-inch water line that will extend across U.S. Highway 59 for the installation of a fire hydrant. Water service will be provided by proposed 8-inch water line extension across U.S. Highway 59. Sanitary sewer service will be provided by an existing 36-inch sewer line in U.S. Highway 59. The site will be accessed through U.S. Highway 59. It's an existing primary arterial with approximately 330 feet of right-of-way. Drainage will be in compliance with the master drainage plan for the City of Victoria. Staff recommends final plat approval, and I or the applicant can answer any questions.
I wasn't sure where the property was.
The property?
Can you elaborate?
I can help you a little bit.
All right.
John Stockbauer, can you see that up there on the
that.
aerial photo? And then if you're familiar with where the Havlinka dealership is, this property is just to the southwest of that.
You mean where the Tall Expo place?
It's an empty, this is a vacant tract of land, I believe. It's a field right now.
Okay.
I don't know if that helps at all.
You have at John Stockbauer and 59 intersection, you have the Baker Baker Tools or Baker. It's one of the Baker's companies. That's right there on the corner. Then there's a little bit of space, and you have the Havlinka tractor dealership. Then a little more empty pasture, and you'll hit this property. It's just out in the middle of a field. So.
Right before Nueces Power Equipment, that there.
Yes, sir.
And I just, on the 9-inch water line? is
That's
that a
it.
requirement, or?
That's a little bit of a typo. It's an 8-inch water line, and
Okay.
it is a requirement. There were construction plans, as he mentioned, that were submitted with the plat to extend that water line, and those have been reviewed and approved by the city engineer.
Okay, everything's in compliance. Okay, any more questions? If not, do I hear a motion to approve this final plat?
Move we approve.
We have a motion by Mr. Caldwell. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Spears. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Final plat approved for MLL Enterprise Subdivision final plat.
Good evening. The next agenda item is for a final plat with a variance to Section 21-54B2, which is the section of the city code that requires dedication of right-of-way during the platting process. As you'll see on the screen, this is an existing built-out development at 1204 North Moody and 306-308 West Rio Grande. It is all this development completely consists on one lot, and the property owners are wishing to subdivide to facilitate the sale of the property. But in order to do that, they would be required to dedicate right-of-way for West Rio Grande Street, which is actually a rather large right-of-way on our thoroughfare plan. So in order to have the final plat approved, they would be required to dedicate approximately 32.2 feet, which, as you can see from the aerial, would greatly impact the site. Staff does recommend approving this variance because we feel that the area has been completely developed out, and the city can't find a reason to really justify that additional right-of-way dedication for this area. And so we do recommend approval of the request, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I have a question. I live at 1208 North Moody.
We're gonna open it up to just, okay, so you're through with yours. Right now, I'd like to open it up for a public hearing. Anybody wishing to address the commission on this subject, please do so at this time. State your name and address and leave it. Would you come up to the podium, please, ma'am? Thank you.
My name is Ray Cohen. I live at 1208 North Moody, which is on the corner of Moody and Nueces. I just want to know if there's going to be what's going to happen at 1208 North Moody? Will anything, this is going to be the commercial property?
Okay.
So your house is 1208?
Yes.
What they're proposing to do, right now, all those buildings are on one lot. So they're
Right.
proposing to create two lots, which would let them sell off those back buildings at 1204 and 1206
Right.
Moody.
Right.
So that would be a separate owner. So all they're doing is just going to draw a property line between those back buildings and the front buildings. which
Okay,
are
will
the,
the entire block be commercial property?
It'll continue. It's commercial property today. It'll
Okay.
continue to be as it is.
All right.
They're just drawing a property line between all those buildings.
All right, thank y'all.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone? Okay. Okay, if there's no one else wishing to address this commission, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and open up for deliberations between the council, commissioners. So let's see what we got to do, what we're doing here.
I know we've approved these in the past.
Okay.
There's
I sat here for half an hour yesterday trying to think of all the things we could possibly do at this interchange in the future, and how granting this variance might be detrimental. And I can't see of anything that we could possibly do at this interchange just because of the weird configuration that it has.
go beyond impacting this property.
Yeah, we'd have to get property from some of the other adjoining property owners, and as you well know, a lot of those buildings, existing buildings, are really close to the property line. The Harley dealership's really close to the property line. The car museum building is close to the property line, and I believe, as you can see on the plat, the law office, the current law office, is pretty close. So
I mean, short of closing off one of the streets, the secondary streets, this is always going to be a 5-point interchange.
yeah, that's why we built the overpass. The bypass, so we can try to encourage those trucks to go around. But
Yeah, so I couldn't see anything that we could possibly do in the future that would require that we would need that extra 32 feet of right-of-way. Especially, I mean, really, we're talking 64 feet for both sides, if you had 32 on one and 32 on the other, and I just can't see. I mean, we're talking about putting a 4-lane road each way.
But it is 4-lane, but that's the only problem, it is narrow lanes. That's the only thing I was questioning. That's always been, because that is still technically, I guess, 59.
it is business 59.
Would that be ever, would this variance get in the way if the state ever decided they wanted to widen those lanes? Because it is a hazard, because those are some very narrow lanes.
If and when TxDOT ever wanted to make some additional improvements, they will need to acquire right of way all up and down an entire section in there. So granting this variance just means
This won't affect that.
they'll have to go back to this property owner, whoever the future property owner is, and buy a strip. I contend that it's going to be extremely expensive, extremely difficult. There's some historic properties that'll cause some havoc for the state's environmental review process, and so, short of them coming in and just, buying a couple of feet and maybe widening the outside lane, I don't really
I don't know if
see
that
them
would-
realistically doing much more than what is there. They've already gone through and widened it to 4 lanes to the ultimate, within that existing right-of-way, and done about all they can do. Without
This would not affect that if they ever wanted to come back in.
This just means
and
that we're
take
not
up
getting
2
the right
feet
of way.
on both sides just to give additional lane width.
Right. It just means that the state would need to buy that 2 foot of right of way,
Just
just
wanna make
as
it
they
not
would
good.
for many of the other property owners.
Gotcha. Thank you, sir.
And that would be separate from anything that we do anyhow.
Right. Right. All we're doing is not getting the right of way as part of the plat.
Okay, so let me ask this, from a variance deliberation, we deliberated, is there any kind of wording that we need to say, and then we'll,
We've kind of eliminated that.
Okay.
So you don't have to read that long paragraph we used to read anymore.
okay,
You
we
just
hadn't
need
had
to
one of these.
make a motion to approve the
Okay, that's cool.
variance.
They're making our job easier.
Yeah, we made your job easier.
Well, that's
So
good. I
You
just
just
wanted
need
to- I
to
just wanna
approve
make
the
sure.
variance, and then
Approve the plat.
if
Right.
you approve the variance, then you're going to conditionally approve the plat upon council
approving the
approving that
variance.
variance.
All right.
Much
Okay.
simpler.
Okay, do I have a motion on the table to approve the variance?
Make a motion to approve the variance.
Okay, I have a motion on the table from Mr. Woods to approve the variance. Second? By anyone? Second by Ms. Steen. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, we have the variance that's passed.
Make a motion to approve the plat with the variance to be presented to council for approval.
I have a motion on the table by Mr. Woods. Do I have a second?
Second.
I'm assuming the
Oh,
wait.
construction plans are approved for the final plat?
There aren't any construction plans with this.
Nothing,
Everything's
nothing.
existing. They're just drawing
Okay,
a property line.
all
on it.
right, I'm sorry, I'm
No
sorry.
problem.
You're right.
No
right.
problem. We have a second
Drawing
by
the
Mr. Caldwell. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Final plat approved in condition with the variance being approved by City Council. Thank you. Next on the agenda is other business.
Okay. You all should have a copy of the monthly development report. Continues to be a little bit slow. Received 3 minor plats this past month, along with the 3 major plats that you just addressed. 3 site plans for one for a new church on Rio Grande over near the Del Papa distributor, an ATM at the corner of Airline and John Stockbauer, and an expansion of the Dad's RV Park on South Laurent. The ordinance revisions that you did last month, those will be going to going to City Council on Tuesday. Of course, that takes 2 readings, so they'll ultimately, hopefully, be approved at the August 4th meeting. And then as far as the permitting activity, still have 15 single-family houses, so that's kind of staying steady. Sure would love to see that increase, but it's staying steady. And for the fiscal year, we're at a little over $58 million in permit activity for the year. So, any questions on development?
No restaurants?
Nothing other than you didn't already know about
All right.
or haven't heard about. Obviously, Panda Express opened last Friday.
I have
and
seen that. It's a good.
Chipotle's coming along, and we'll see what else lands on our desk one of these days. And let's see. There had been a question from our, if y'all remember, Winston Wilson was at Planning Commission last month talking about
Mowing.
mowing and some development possibly being an easement and whatnot. Got him in touch with Public Works. He is a contractor for Public Works. Turns out there isn't any development in a drainage right of way. There is one of our drainage outfalls along the Hilton Garden Inn and the Holiday Inn Express, and because of the part of it not being improved and sloped like some of the other areas are, there were some perceived difficulties in there that had really had nothing to do with the planning process or the site plan. There aren't any sprinklers in the way. So it just took a little bit of education of you can access it where you've always accessed it and mow it. And I think, some difficulty with some of it and having to use a hand weed eater on some of it. But I don't know how in the world it was mowed before because you couldn't get a mower down it. The slope, anyway.
That's where they use those boom mowers. That's where he's saying
Right.
he needs a place for the tractor.
And the hotels
Just
are
for the tractor.
mowing. The hotels are already mowing a lot of it for him.
Right.
Were areas that he was mowing before. So, Public Works is working with him if we need to make some adjustments on that, and particularly when he goes and bids it next time, he's aware that those are the conditions that are there. So, anyway, it may have come across last month that we had let someone build into the easement or made some improvements in the easement that were not appropriate. That is not the case.
I don't think it was that they built in the easement. It was how much your build line or your development line along the drainage outfalls to allow for the boom type tractor mowers to mow those outfalls.
And the part
That's
that he
what
was
we need to
having
look at.
difficulty with, there's still the ability to get on the property and mow it.
Yeah,
There's certain restrictions with a boom mower. I mean, if you've never operated a boom mower, or if you have, that's fine, but that special piece of equipment that you have to use to do those outfalls, because you can't put a tractor down in there.
Right. But you couldn't put it. My contention is that you couldn't put a tractor down there before, even before the hotel was there.
No, they're not putting a tractor down in the ditch. You put the tractor up on the side
I
of the ditch and
understand.
you use the boom to go along
And they
the
can
side
still
of it.
do that. They were concerned that there were sprinkler systems and things in place that they were afraid of damage. They're not there. The sprinkler systems are not there. It just took some education of here's what's here, here's what's not here, here's your right to cross it. A little bit, in my opinion, a little bit of a misunderstanding and something that should have been addressed with Public Works, who they are contracted with. to
Along
take
the
care of that.
outfalls where we have to maintain, where the city maintains. I think
And-
we just need to be conscious of
Sure.
it and aware of it when we're looking at plats along those outfalls.
Absolutely.
And I think one thing that I want to say is that you were right. You're right. It came across that way to me. That's why I was wanting you to check into it, and I think that you're right too, Mr. Woods. That we need to look at those things when we do plats. That's something to be cognizant of when we do that stuff. So it's a win-win
Yeah.
for both. You did what you said you were going to do, and we're learning to get better the next time when we do plat approval. So it's a win-win for the city. So
Yes.
okay.
What else was I supposed to?
Galveston?
Oh,
Yeah.
that'll be coming up. The State Planning Commission, State Planning Conference will be coming up. It's back in Galveston this year after having been way up in North Texas last year. It's the second week of October. I think it's the 7th, 8th, and 9th. So we'll be getting with you all next month to determine who. Basically, the city has budget to as a priority would be to pay for commissioners that had not attended the conference, and then once we've gone through that, the commissioners that may still want to go back and learn some more, we'll do that. I need to go back and double check the budget. I think we've got enough to send 4 or 5 of you. So
Well worth it.
it's a good
Oh, yeah.
conference,
Oh, yeah.
and Galveston's a great location. We had a lot of fun there 2 years ago. So
We have some new commissioners, so we're hopeful.
oh, that was the other thing.
I was going to bring that up.
Okay.
Whenever it was my turn.
I just have one additional comment. The following week after the conference, we will be looking at having another joint meeting for the comprehensive plan and another large public hearing, citywide public hearing that following week, but I don't have specifics yet. But that's the goal, is for that following week.
Sir, you through? So items from the Planning Commission. All right. August 2015. Myself, I think Ms. Steen, we're getting off. So just want to let you know our next meeting will be our last one. I've spent 6 years on it, and I think Ms. Steen, you're about the same, a little bit more than me, right? And we'll talk more next time. I'll try to make it at the meeting for sure. But also, I don't know if they had the unveiling of the 2035 plan. We didn't talk about that last. Did we talk about that at the last meeting? At the down at the town.
There's a joint meeting
Yeah.
at the community center. Is that what you mean?
No, did y'all haven't met lately?
We met last week.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have anything you want to tell us?
Yeah, they had a real good lady make a presentation.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
perhaps the most interesting of all,
Yeah,
in my
the lady
opinion.
knew what she was doing.
All right.
A lot of economics.
Good deal. Go for it, Mr. Roots.
I know we addressed 4 or 5 meetings back the signed ordinance regarding sign trucks, and it was going to be addressed or what have you. I thought we addressed that regarding mobile billboards on trucks. Still happening? Routine, daily basis. Is this something that is this something we need to tighten that up a little more, or is it just not being enforced?
No, we are prioritizing enforcement because the sign ordinance did address quite a few things. We tightened up the digital and electronic message signs, which we have just sent letters out to all owners of those types of signs and let them know what the new regulations are. The next kind of hurdle we're tackling is to tighten up the advertising flags and banners and pennants that have gotten a little out of control. So that's actually Will's first project, is working on sign control. And then we have to work with the police department because our code enforcement officers obviously don't have the ability to pull people over. So we'd have to catch those mobile vehicles when they're actually parked, or the idea is that we'll work with the police department and educate the officers so that they can write citations when they see that happening.
That was one thing of the sign ordinance, and the other part was the code enforcement side on the garage sale signs. Because they did actually stop at my place of business a while back, asked me if I had given the person permission to put their sign on my property. I said no. And I said, actually, I don't like them there because every time someone down the street has a garage sale, they come up and put their sign. Well, every time they bring their sign, that's great. I don't have a problem with that. But they bring a little brick with it. And after a few weekends, I've got a pile of bricks out there. And signs that are blown over because they never come back to get them. There's been a few times I go grab them, go down the street, and toss it back in their front yard and say you forgot something. But
I thought you were going to build a new fire pit.
my question is, those types of signs are prohibited according to
Yes.
our code, correct?
Yes.
The miniature garage sale signs.
Yeah, I mean, any off-premise sign, unless it's, a bona fide permitted billboard, and any sign in the right-of-way.
Okay. If those are prohibited, every time someone advertises for their garage sale at the Advocate, they give them one. Why we have not gotten with the Advocate and say, you're giving them out free, but every time they put them out, they're breaking the law. Do they understand the dilemma there? What's going on with that?
I think they do.
They just,
Better to
is this
ask
something that the
forgiveness and
advocate needs to
permission.
address? That, every time they hand out these signs with the garage sale ad, that's fine, but every time someone that uses that ad or uses that sign, they're breaking code.
Well, you could put the sign in your own driveway, your own property, so I
Are they,
partially done
is it an
that.
education process that the advocate maybe need to address and tell these people, listen, you can't put these in the right of way?
We've tried that. If you recall, I don't know, a year or two ago, I had code enforcement aggressively working to clear the right of way of all signs, including those, and there was significant pushback from council and those that did estate sales and whatnot. So I would take that issue up with your council member.
Fair enough? I just thought we had,
We added some language to the bottom of the garage sale permit to make it clear, signage belongs on your property. You can't put it.
So that's definitely on the permit.
It's on the permit. It's
Good.
on the garage sale permit.
That's good.
It's also on the website when they apply for a garage sale permit. That
the
means
code
obviously
enforcement did come by and grab the sign because they asked me if I'd.
They're still
give them
picking some
permission.
of them up on Monday but not on Thursdays and Fridays.
I was just curious, but they did come by and address it, and I was, why are
So
we
if they're
still
still
giving
out
them
there
out?
on Monday or Tuesday, they probably are doing that.
How about the signs for selling pizza and mattresses and pillows and, people standing on the street sign, the human
Human
shield?
posters.
Yeah, those are currently our city attorney says those are regulated by free speech. Am I saying that correctly? And so our sign ordinance doesn't address those, and currently they're allowed.
One other thing that was brought to my attention about 3 different times over the last 6 to 8 weeks is there anything in our code regarding panhandling in Victoria? Because, is this something that
Again-
needs to be addressed by council,
Yes, sir.
or is that part of the 3035 cleanup? I'm just asking.
Again, I think a little bit of that has been talked about at council, and the city attorney's office is saying some of that is free speech, and so there's some limitations. I would bring that up to your council member. And
Because I've heard,
That's
I've had
outside
three
of my
different, I've had
department.
3 different people ask me, is that part of what y'all do? And I said, I don't think it is. I said, but I will ask to
And
make
that's-
sure it was addressed.
the panhandling and all that is completely outside of my department as well. So
I didn't know if it was part of code. I didn't know.
it's not. But there have been concerns had been brought up before. People darting out in traffic or blocking traffic. Well, they're
Anyone else?
Slippery slope.
Yep, yep.
Just a reminder, the last meeting I'd asked that anytime we get a final plat, I know we've got a changeover, so anytime we get a final plat, if you could make sure that in the agenda or in the information packet, the date when the initial plat was granted, that way we can kind of, because some of these, I wasn't on the commission when they were approved, and it gives us a little bit of historical, how long it's been sitting in the works before it got. And then I had a question from a couple of folks that live up off North Side. Is that Bridle Ridge, that first subdivision you come to when you turn down North Side? Did I get the name right?
It's Bridle Ridge.
Bridle Ridge, okay. Is it Saddlebrook?
Oh, on
Saddlebrook.
the left or right?
On the left, across from the power station.
Yeah, well,
Bridle Ridge, Saddlebrook.
Anyhow, as you're heading down towards Capstone, there's a new area that we approved platting for, and there's a major utility line, and I'm assuming that there's an easement that runs behind Bridle Ridge, all those properties that back onto, and I don't know, I'm going to go blank on what, Terra Vista, I think.
Tuscany.
Anyhow,
Yeah, it's Tuscany.
Tuscany, that's it, thank you.
Not terrible.
The question was asked by a couple of folks that back onto that. Right now, there's a giant lake because I guess they've created a temporary retention area there in the easement. They were wondering if that's going to remain, if that was part of the plan, and I went back through my notes and I couldn't see anything. I'm not sure I was here when the initial plat was laid out.
You're saying there's a giant lake?
Well, there's a big, with all the rain,
Retention
with
pond.
all the rain that happened, all the water ran to a shallow, a dugout area where that easement is, underneath the power poles. And they were just wondering if that's going to stay there, or if that was just
I think we need to look specifically, go back and look at that specific, I think we approved that plat a year ago, so I don't recall. I think there may be a drainage easement. There certainly is a utility easement back behind there. I don't recall the other phases of Tuscany that are on the other side of Ball Airport Road do have a permanent kind of T-shaped detention facility. I just don't recall that there is something over there, so they may have constructed something that's temporarily as part of construction. But honestly, we need to go back and look to get you
Okay. Well, they were just,
an answer on that.
part of it was concern over mosquitoes. The other part of it was concern over whether or not you're going to have people backing up onto their properties. A lot of those folks, they've gotten used to the idea of having a big nature preserve out behind their back fence. But I told them I would bring it up, so I brought it up. And then lastly, do we have anything in the code regarding, and it always seems to me that it pops up this time of year because it's gotten hot, but it seems like this year there's way more snow cone businesses floating around on trailers than we've had in the past. And like, there's at least 2 that I know of in the past 4 days that are just huge traffic jams. Now, they're within parking lots, but they're creating problems out on the street. Is that anything that falls under, or is there anything that we need to do that we're not enforcing? That
Just enjoy the good snow cone.
I counted 29 cars pulled up to one.
Wow, that's a really long
It
wait
was
for
preventing
snow cone.
people from being able to turn off Navarro
I don't
into
think
the parking lot.
block traffic, but if they're on private property, we don't really have any regulations that are addressing that at this
Currently,
time.
but
At this
the
time,
draft.
we have
When
drafted
they're pulled across the entrance to the parking lot, lined up to get in and preventing cars turning off of Navarro, that is creating a problem because it's causing congestion on Navarro.
There is a draft ordinance in the city attorney's office that he's finalizing and reviewing for mobile food vendors, which a snow cone stand would, I guess if they're mobile. Now, if they're permanent, that's a different story. That's site planning and comes through our office. But if it's a mobile type vendor, then it would fall under the new ordinance. And I think the proposed ordinance that is currently being looked at or drafted would address congestion and problems that occur that are caused by the mobile vendors on the public right of way, but that's still in draft format. So right now we wouldn't have anything that we could really address or do.
You still had that same problem with some of the restaurants in town with the drive-throughs and then backing it up. So same issue.
Yeah, but you can't pick a restaurant up and move it. You can't pick a trailer
Yeah,
up
I
and move it.
understand.
Where you place the trailer. And I understand they're on private property, but it's where you place it in private property that has an impact.
If it impacts traffic control,
Yeah.
traffic flow.
Thank you very much for the heads up on that.
All right. Anyone else? If not, do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So move.
All right. Motion on the table by Ms. Woods, second by Mr. Spears. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.